Hello and welcome to the Superpower Dead team. I'm Peter.
And Rick, today we're having a look at the latest adaptation, whatever you would call it, of Stephen King's book, Salem's Lot. Now, I think it was only released this year, 2024, but I think it was made a few years ago. It might be Warner that has the hand in that one. And they're
years ago.
Warner's quite big on at the moment, developing projects and then just either using them as a tax write-off and not releasing them. So there was a fear that this one would never be released. Stephen King said he'd seen it and really liked it. So I think then they said, okay, well, if the master loves it, then we'll put it out there. So that's the one we had a look at.
It is. And I also checked out the mini-series just out of curiosity. The first mini-series made by Toby Hooper, which I think was in the 70s, I think it was made.
Yeah, I reckon it was 70s, yeah.
I'd never seen late 70s. So I just had a quick look at that, so I might mention that later. So you're a big Stephen King fan. You like his books. So maybe
love his books,
with have you read Salem's Lot, the book?
I think it was the first one of his that I read, like a long time ago, back in the 80s. I reckon someone named it to me.
Do you remember much about it?
Yeah, I loved it. Like, it just got me hooked on Stephen King straight away. I devoured anything that he released and went back through all of his older stuff. So I love the book. I was wary about going to I'm tired of just going a new Stephen King movie coming out and going in with some sort of hope. And I had read that he'd like this one, so I've gone, it could be okay. And I just don't like going in ready to be disappointed, but sadly I was disappointed. This had problems, and the biggest problem is you can't, I think I might have talked about this before, but you can't make, his books are about that thick.
Yeah.
And there is just so much character development and story and self-talk, what do you call it? Self-talk or whatever it is. You can't make it into a feature film. There's too much. And you can tell from this that, because it feels like they've just raced through every kind of plot point from the start to finish without developing anything in it. It's just raced through. Look, that's the head guy, that's the lead guy, there's the lead girl. There was no real interaction with them.
They fall in love instantly.
Yeah, and so in the book, I remember the priest in this one. I think the actors did a good job with what they had.
I disagree with it. I thought the acting was really bad in this.
I like Matt the teacher. He was good.
Yeah, no, he was probably the best out of the lot. But I remember, because I watched this over 2 nights because I got a bit sick of it the first night that I started it. And I just remember thinking the acting was really bad, really poor.
I agree with that in the kids, and I actually liked the poor acting from the kids because it felt like they were actually.
It wasn't even the kids to me. It was like that. Just the delivery. I don't know if it was the dialogue or what, but it was almost like a amateur play or something. Some of the acting. The main guy, Lewis Pullman, comes in as the lead. That's Bill Pullman's kid, obviously, with none of his charm, and he just is like a side character by the end of it. I don't even know what happened to him, really. There's nothing.
That was the whole problem. Yeah, that was the problem with the book. They were trying to jam in too many of the characters, and then the lead character and the Marston house, which is this whole thing that is supposed to be based on that house, was hardly in the movie. Like, they had a couple of scenes with it in there, but that was the whole basis of where the story took place, around the events that happened there, and the vampire lived there. And sorry, spoilers, but it was just too much that was just discarded, and the bits they kept didn't make it didn't make sense. If you didn't know the proper story, this would have been, I don't know. Look, I'd be curious to hear from people who didn't know the book or didn't know anything and watched it, and if they thought it was any good. But to me, it missed the heart of what the actual story was about. Like, I didn't care that Susan was being killed by the vampire because she was hardly in it. They had 2 dates, dates together.
Madly in love after that very brief meeting.
Yeah, Stephen King's about characters. He's a horror writer, but at the heart of it is it's the build of the character, and you follow this character and you love this character, and so when things happen to them, you care about it. You didn't care about anything in this one. And there was just stupid plot points, like the way they worked out that they were vampires. It was just too simple and too easy. It was just like,
vampires.
It was kind of like, oh, he's not quite well. Oh, look, there's a couple of marks in his neck. Oh my God, vampires, we need to go. And I remember in the book, the priest, Father Callahan, was a bigger character. Like, he was still a side character, but he had a bigger role in it. And because he was always struggling with his faith.
Yeah.
And so when it gets to the scene between him and the head vampire, it's a bigger emotional punch, because he's trying to find his faith and to use it. Well, the other one's just talking him out of it, and it was just lost there. He just died in about 2 seconds. It didn't even die in the book either.
No, I can't say I enjoyed it. I didn't find it particularly scary. Some of the cinematography was okay, but it just, for me, just felt like an amateur production. I didn't really know any of the actors apart from William Sadler, who did absolutely nothing as the sheriff.
It's just disappointing, because it wasn't effective as a horror film, and it wasn't effective as a faithful adaptation of the book. And if you're going to do it, this book, it needs to be done as a mini series, like over 8 or 9 episodes, so you can actually build up the characters, you can build up the suspense. This was just kind of glossed over everything just to get to
and I sort of felt that there needed to be more of a build up to if they're planning on taking over, you sort of want to see that, the town's in chaos and things leading up, and then you want to see it the town completely changed from the beginning, but there wasn't even really much of a setup to how the town was before. There was a mini-series or a limited series a couple of years ago called Midnight Mass, which had a very similar premise, but I thought that was very good. I enjoyed that a lot, and it was probably, influenced a lot by the original story, but that did a much better job of building up the lore and building up the characters and just having that hysteria. It was set on an island, so they probably could have done that a bit better. But I did watch the 70s miniseries just as a point of reference, and that did do a better job with setting up the characters. The vampire doesn't appear till probably 45, 50 minutes into it. It wasn't perfect. It hasn't aged that well, but it did have some probably more interesting aspects to it.
Now, I remember I did watch that, I guess not long after I read the book in the 80s, when VHS was big at the time, and I remember being disappointed with it. I can remember bits of it, don't remember a lot, but this was disappointing, both, like I said, as an adaptation of the book, and it's not really even a good horror movie, I didn't think. It wasn't scary.
No, I didn't find it scary at all.
So I would recommend don't watch. It's a 2 thumbs down. It's not. I'm sorry, Stephen King. You also said, Stephen.
It's a thumbs down.
Stephen also, but Stephen King also reckoned The Flash was the best superhero movie he'd seen. So I think he's just losing it a bit towards the. Sorry, Stephen. Love your work, but.
Thanks for watching the Superpower Dead team.
Yeah, if you enjoy our videos, please remember to like and subscribe, and please, we really appreciate comments in the comments section. So leave a comment if you feel that's the way you want to go.
And if you click on the bell, you'll never miss an episode.